So as Isabel said, I am a science tutor and tutor services manager with Wolsey Hall, which is a Cambridge online school. But more importantly, though, I'm a mum, and I found myself in the same situation as you, trying to juggle working from home while educating my children. Now, you may think that as I'm a teacher, I should be well equipped, but let me put it into context. I have 3 children. Noah is 13 and Joshua is 11. And although I can quite happily teach them science at an appropriate level, that is only approximately 10% of the curriculum. Then there is Hannah, my 7-year-old. She has a thirst for knowledge, but is a force to be reckoned with. Now, although the title of this slide is Homeschooling during the coronavirus pandemic, I'd like to emphasise that homeschooling is a choice that you make and that you plan for. This is an unprecedented emergency situation, not a choice to homeschool. But I'm here to give you some tips on how to encourage your children to learn at home while still enabling you to fulfil your work commitments. Now, incidentally, at Wolsey Hall, we do have over 2,500 students whose parents have made the choice to homeschool their children. These include elite athletes, performing artists, children of travelling families, and students who do not wish to attend a traditional school for a variety of other reasons. Here are some of our students that can be found on our YouTube channel, either sharing their experience of homeschooling around the world or showcasing their various talents. The flexibility of homeschooling enables students to realise their full potential, both educationally and in their sporting ambitions. Now, here is Zen Zaley, one of our previous students, and she's just going to tell us a little bit about why she feels that homeschooling is a good thing.
And now, personally, the value of homeschooling is ineffable. You develop integral time management skills as well as organizational and study skills, and you're more proactive and active in your community. You're more likely to engage in cross-generational dialogues because you have that opportunity with the less rigid structure. And as someone once said, the best classroom in the world is at the feet of an elderly person. So in connection to that, we are able to understand a lot more and mature in a different way, I suppose. There's also the advantage of not being influenced by societal opinions and views on certain matters. I know it may take a lot more discipline and a lot more motivation, but it's such a positive change that it's really worth it all. If education is a solution to complex issues, then I believe homeschooling should be discussed equally. It's an historic solution to our modern problems and possesses a unique ability to unlock a vast amount of potential with such successful results. And here I'm talking from experience. I hope you can see it for the solution that I see it as, but better yet, I hope you can experience it for yourself, for the richness and the depth that it brings. In the words of our former leader, Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. So why not start here and now? Thank you.
So, as Zen Zaley said, she thinks homeschool is a wonderful thing, and she referred to Nelson Mandela. Now, although these days most of our students are children, Nelson Mandela actually studied for his law degree with us while in Robben Island jail. And he said, education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. But how can we as parents provide that vital education that our children need during this global pandemic? So as I said, the situation that we find ourselves in is from necessity, not choice. Do not try to be a teacher. Your children will always see you as a parent. Try not to let homeschooling take over. It's just a small part of your relationship. The most important thing that you can do now is listen to your children and reassure them. You'll be amazed at how you can incorporate learning in everyday activities that will help them either settle into the current way of life or find a new passion for learning, all while allowing you as parents to play your vital part for the World Food Programme. Although we're not taking the place of a teacher, it's essential that we provide a positive learning environment. This can be done through routine, time management, and providing a suitable working space. These three things will be different for all of us, but here are some ideas. Go to bed and get up at the same time every day during the school week. Now, this does not have to be the same as before lockdown, but be consistent. I'm actually able to get a substantial amount of work done before our home learning day even starts. Teenagers may wish to sleep in and start work later in the day. This is not a bad thing if, as a parent, you are more productive first thing. Whatever time they start, make sure that your children are washed, dressed, and have had something to eat before they begin. But how to manage your time and theirs? Now, this could be done through creating a timetable together or using a timer to signify blocks of learning. The Pomodoro technique is excellent and ensures that regular breaks are taken. If you haven't heard of it before, don't worry, you'll receive a document with a video link that explains it nicely, and it will also include links to any resources that I refer to throughout, and many more. Make sure downtime is also scheduled. Initially make learning time short and have realistic, or dare I say it, low expectations of what you will achieve. This is a good time to create a set of school rules that you agree upon. These could include no electronics, unless being used for the task at hand, no talking over each other, and if you're fortunate enough to have your own working space, then how about no children in the staff room? You could even create a do not enter sign, so that when you are doing something vital and it's really important you're not going to be interrupted, you can put it up. Now, I found it particularly useful in situations such as this. Now, the other thing to do then is to create a suitable working space. This should preferably be quiet, organised and equipped. It doesn't have to be fixed and will probably be different for all of us. It may depend on age, number of children, or simply the space you have available. My boys share a room, and I learned very quickly that leaving the boys together to work independently was not entirely productive. My daughter does have her own workspace, but I found that if we work together on the kitchen table, we both achieve more. If I have an activity that's suitable for all three children, we'll work together wherever space will allow, outside if possible. It's important to be flexible and to discover what works best for you and your family. Now, we actually have over 150 tutors at Wolsey Hall. Here's just a few of them. See if you can spot me in there somewhere. And I quizzed those with remote learning children on what has worked for them. The main thing that I discovered is that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Don't put yourself under pressure to do things just because other parents you know might be doing them. All of the tips and advice that I give today are simply a toolkit of options for you to try to see if they work for you and your family. Hopefully your children have been provided with ample work and some form of structure to follow. If not, plan and prioritise for the core subjects, English, maths and science. Make sure your children follow a routine, but are flexible and ensure that their goals are realistic. Do approach your child's school if you feel that there's not enough work set or it's not at the right level. As teachers, this is new to us, and we're all looking to improve the way that we facilitate remote learning. Importantly, don't expect your child to follow the same routine as at school. Research shows that 6-year-olds only need to study for 1 to 1.5 hours a day, and 15-year-olds need a maximum of 4 hours. So take comfort in that. Also, 2 or 3 hours of good study is far better than 6 hours of procrastination. I've broken it down into subjects that could or should be incorporated throughout the week. Exercise. Tricky with teens unless they have a particular sport that they're keen on. Do try to incorporate some form of exercise into each day. We did PE with Joe Wicks 3 times a week. He was live on YouTube during the UK lockdown and all of his videos are now easily accessible. We all agreed we felt energised and ready to work after it. Oti Mabuse has produced lots of videos that enable children and adults to learn a whole dance routine in under half an hour, and she uses well-known film characters and soundtracks to encourage her viewers. One of my favourites is The Greatest Showman. There's yoga with Adrienne, which is great. It aids mindfulness as well, and Cosmic Kids is really good for the little ones. YouTube has got many boxing and martial arts workouts, but of course you don't need the internet to be active. If you have space, you can run, create an obstacle course and much more. HIIT training can be done with very little space and will certainly keep both your children and you fit. Setting physical challenges, especially if you have a teenage boy, can be good, such as press-ups, sit-ups, basketball hoops. Get them to compare and compete with their friends. You may find that your child simply likes to go for a walk while listening to music or a podcast, or even better, get them to check out the app Zombies Run, and they can save the world while having some fun and getting in their daily steps. As a parent, we can provide meaningful activities that cover a broad range of subjects. There are some excellent, engaging English tasks out there. The most important thing that your child can do is read. You could ask them to summarise what they've learned or analyse a character from their book. Research shows that students who regularly read at the age of 14 will be up to 18 months ahead in literacy compared to those who don't by the time they complete key exams. There are loads of free books on Kindle at the moment. Now, I did encourage my children to keep a record of their time during lockdown, and this included both their facts and feelings. My daughter wrote a diary, whereas my sons chose to document their time in the form of a comic. Writing letters to family and friends is a great way of encouraging handwriting or computer literacy, grammar, punctuation, and of course, staying in contact with those they love. There are many worksheets available on the internet. A site that I particularly like is DK, Dorling Kindersley. And for older learners, Cambridge International has opened up the Resource Plus section of its website during the coronavirus outbreak. Now, this is really good because it includes videos and teachers' packs, which are just as useful for parents. A way of promoting a love of literature is through listening to audiobooks. Now, Audible has released a large number of free books for children to enjoy. Maths. It can be incorporated into everyday life as well as put in a structured lesson. One of my favourite ways to enjoy maths with my children, when I have the time, is to play board games or card games with them. Almost all of these games will involve counting, sequencing, or handling money. Darts is great for mental maths. When there are days that don't go according to plan, and there will be some, games are an excellent resource to fall back on. They also aid well-being, as when children are focused elsewhere, they have a tendency to talk more openly about their feelings and concerns. Interactive maths games and free worksheets have been my go-to since the schools closed. Enrich is a particularly good website with enjoyable tasks that suit older children. Maths is Fun and Khan Academy are also excellent for reinforcing work covered. Now is a good time to ensure your children know their times tables. These can be recited and randomly tested on or made lots of fun using songs on YouTube. Mr. DeMeo is a particular favourite of mine, especially the 9 times table 90s mashup and the 3 times table to Uptown Funk. Science is all around us. A great activity to do with children is to plant seeds. Watch how they grow in different conditions. You might even have a harvest by summer. Food webs might be seen in action. Dissecting a flower, gluing it to a piece of paper and labelling the parts is a fun activity. And if you have access to a chicken leg, it's amazing how children can locate the correct tendons, ligaments and bones with just a little guidance. Although most zoos and aquariums are still closed throughout the world, many are streaming live webcams of their most popular attractions instead. Some wildlife parks are even hosting live feeds. STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering and Maths, so crosses many subjects. The STEM website is offering free home learning support for families and has the bonus of having Tim Peake as its ambassador. There are loads of activities, including experiments using household items, and it caters for up to 16-year-olds. There are also many examples of simple experiments on YouTube, as long as you don't mind a bit of mess. A video produced by David Attenborough is incredibly informative and appeals to most ages, and Brian Cox is brilliant for any budding physicists or astronauts. Horrible Histories videos are based on a series of books. Now, they inform children of historical events, eras, civilizations, and are stuffed full of blood, battles, and humour. My children love them. Some films on Netflix can be really informative, and Spartacus Educational has information on historical figures from Henry VIII right through to Emily Pankhurst. You could investigate local history. How about children speaking with their grandparents or elderly members of the community, if they can do so safely, and finding out what history means to them? Geography. You may feel that teaching geography is particularly difficult if we are stuck at home. Thanks to the internet and children's imaginations, we can travel almost anywhere. How about taking one of the virtual tours on the Wolsey Hall website to places such as Machu Picchu or the Taj Mahal, or even planning a trip for the future, be it imaginary or real? The National Geographic Kids, American Museum of Natural History and Good Housekeeping websites also have some great ideas, from touring an egg farm to exploring the surface of Mars. Religious studies. You could look into the different beliefs that people have globally, or you could make it more relevant, both timely and for your family. Be that looking at the story of Easter for Christians or the practicing of Ramadan for Muslims. And my personal favourite, food technology. Baking or cooking is a great way of spending time with your children while being productive, and can cover aspects of maths, science, English and art. Why not get your children to prepare lunch with you so that while they're eating and having some relaxation time, you can get some work done? If you're fortunate enough to own a musical instrument, now is the time to practice and improve. There are many free apps, websites and videos out there to help. Or David Walliams has produced a podcast which introduces children to classical music. You could ask your children to create posters or a booklet on the composers that he talks of. As for languages, my sons both want to learn Spanish, so I made the most of the resources that were available to me during school closures. Duolingo is lots of fun, and they've also really enjoyed something called the Coffee Break Spanish podcast. Arts can be incorporated throughout the day or timetabled for separately. Creating your home learning timetable and school rules can be the perfect place to start. There are many crafts that cover multiple subjects. Interestingly, this is where my children are able to remain engaged for a longer period, so I allow a little more time. Admittedly, I'm more likely to get this than Van Gogh's sunflowers. Computing. If your child has access to a PC, tablet or phone, there are many things that us as adults can teach them, be that how to type a formal letter, learn a QWERTY keyboard, or use a photo editing app. There are a few sites that offer free online coding courses. Code Academy and General Assembly both have an option to upgrade to a pro version, but you can learn the basics for free. So I've mentioned computing, but what about screen time as a whole? For parents who worried about the time their children spent on social media and online games before the pandemic, the figurative jump into screens can cause more concern or even distress. The key here is to prioritise wellness. Is your child sleeping enough? Eating a somewhat balanced diet? Getting exercise? Spending time with the family? Keeping up with schoolwork? Using some of that screen time to keep in touch with friends? If you can answer yes to most of these questions, then you have nothing to worry about. During extraordinary times with a high degree of uncertainty and irregularity, it is vital for children to play and communicate with friends. Video games and social media can offer meaningful experiences during a pandemic, connectedness in a time where social interaction is reduced, entertainment when options are limited, and a tool to help take the edge off anxiety and fear. Also, screen time of your child's choice can provide an excellent bargaining chip. Use it to motivate your children, encourage them to see it as a reward for when work is completed, and withdraw the privilege if it's not. If you're anxious about how to protect and nurture your children through this crisis, you are not alone. As well as limiting news consumption, a period of reflection at the end of the learning day can really help. Now, we have about 10 minutes of quiet time. It could include meditation, talking through concerns, or a faith-based activity. But if your children find talking in that type of situation difficult, just engage in an activity together. When there's no pressure and there's no eye contact, children are far more likely to talk about their concerns. I just keep reminding my children that they are becoming independent learners and that they are preparing themselves for life far better than any other generation. And we have a hope jar. Every time we wish we could do something, go somewhere, treat ourselves, or see someone we love, we write it down on a post-it note and put it in the jar. When all of this is over, we'll work our way through that jar and be more grateful than ever for the little and lovely things in our lives. Until then, we will enjoy watching it fill up with all of the things that we have to look forward to. In summary, now is the time to inspire your children and foster a lifelong love of learning. Thank you.